Alrighty, Chef Buck here, and today we're gonna cook up some yuca. This is a big old root, a giant, enormous, dangerous weapon. It's always got like a waxy coating on it because they put that coating on there, kind of preserve it when they're shipping it around. But the first thing we're gonna do is cut off the ends. Oh, I'm not strong enough.
Woo!
Oh, but somehow I became strong enough. But this is tough. So we're gonna cut off the ends, and then we're gonna cut it into kind of some manageable sizes. It's a little easier to handle. So once I got it cut into some sizes that's easier to fool with, I'm gonna cut off the skin because the skin is inedible. You don't want to peel it off. You know, don't use a peeler because it's kind of thick. It's just easier to whack it off with a knife and just slice the skin off like that. It's the easiest way. Cassava, it needs to be cooked. You don't want to eat this stuff raw. So the first thing we're gonna do is boil it.
Boil that yuca. Yeah. Boil that yuca.
Alrighty, so we've got all the skin off our yuca, and now we're gonna boil it. At that point, it could be ready to eat, but we're not gonna boil it that long. We're gonna boil it until it's soft, and then we're gonna split it in half, and there is a
fibrous center.
A fibrous stem that runs through the yuca, and we're gonna take that out. But we're gonna cook this. It's a two-step stage. So we're gonna boil the yuca first, you know, soften it up, but not too soft, because then we're gonna cook it in the skillet a little bit. So let's take our yuca over here, and we're gonna put it in some boiling water. Boom, boom. So we're gonna bring it up to a boil.
Do a little dance for us, Buck.
But then I'll have to make a little love and get down tonight. Just sounds like a lot of work. Alrighty, so I brought it up to a bubble. I got it reduced down to a simmer. I'm gonna cover it up and I'm gonna let it cook for about 15 or 20 minutes. It's been going for about 25 minutes. A little bit longer than I usually do because these pieces are so big. So you know, you want to adjust it depending on the size of the pieces. But the thing is, you don't want it to be overcooked. You know, once my fork starts to slide in there easily, then it's ready to come out because I don't want it to be mushy. Now if I cook this for another 10 minutes, I could boil it for another 10 minutes and then it'd be fine. Then I could just put some salt and pepper, a little lemon juice on there. But you know, I just want it to where a fork will go easily into the yuca, and then I'm going to go ahead and get it off the hot water. I'm just going to strain it out of the hot water and then let it cool down for a few minutes before we can handle it. Alright, my yuca's still steaming a wee little bit, but it's cool enough to handle. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and pull out this stem that's in the center of the yuca. And it'll break apart, and you can just pull it out with your hand or you can cut it out with a knife. Because this is inedible. And then we'll go ahead and take the time here and just cut this into the size pieces that we want to saute. But that's why I like to boil it in these larger sizes, because it's just easier to handle and get that stem out. So like a lot of times when it's cooking, it'll break apart, but then you'll have a piece like this here that didn't break apart, but you can just pull it apart. And the stem is on that side, it's not on this side here. But you can cut through and see that it's not there. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, look at that.
But there, see, it came out quite easily. But this yuca, it's kind of cooked through. It's still a little firm. I mean, if we were just going to eat this just right now, we would want it to have cooked a little bit longer. It's almost finished cooking, and now we're just going to finish it in the skillet, sauteing it a little bit with this onion and garlic. But it's very starchy. It just has a nice flavor. It has a terrific texture. It's just a little bit different than a potato. Alrighty, so now I got my yuca cut up into some nice pieces. Nice chunky pieces, still pretty firm, so they'll hold up well for sauteing. Now I got me a skillet, and on medium-high heat, I'm going to melt me up a little bit of oil. I used to cook this dish with just olive oil. I'm going to finish it up with olive oil, but I'm going to use coconut oil to start because we've started sauteing things with coconut oil. So I'm going to use two different oils, but you can use whatever kind of oil you like. But I recommend putting olive oil in this dish when it's finished. Now cumin is key for this dish, so we're going to use lots of cumin. You know, like 2 to 3 tablespoons, maybe 4. I got so much yuca, but I think that's about all I got left in here in my cumin, so I'm probably going to use all of that. Now this is optional, since we're going to be putting cumin powder, and you know, I like that cumin flavor, but I'm going to go ahead and add the seeds just for some texture. you know, they're going to start to crack and brown right away. But you don't want to overcook those. So just boom, throw them in there. Then I'm going to toss in my onion. Crazy amount of onion.
Woohoo!
But I got a crazy amount of yuca. Boom, boom, boom. Lots of garlic. Garlic and onion, key to this dish. Alrighty, so I reduced my heat down to medium. And I'm just going to go ahead and saute this onion and garlic up for just a couple of minutes. Well, I should have probably put this in earlier. But it's never too late to put in some crushed red pepper. Just for a little bit of heat.
Spicy buck.
Again, that's optional. Gonna put in some salt. And then, like I said, cumin. You know, if you don't have the cumin seeds, you can skip that part, but don't skip the cumin part. And lots of it. Now I'm gonna throw my yuca in there. And this is gonna be a very full skillet. And this is why you don't want your yuca to be overcooked. You don't want to boil it for so long that when you put it in a skillet, it's going to turn to mush and fall apart. Get it mixed up with that garlic and onion and that cumin. I'm going to go ahead and throw some olive oil in here now. And I'm not going to be shy with it. Lots of olive oil.
Ooh, that smells good.
Put a bit more salt in there because yuca, like potato, can use a lot of salt. So I got this mixed in here and I'm going to let it cook maybe for about another 5 minutes. And if you wanted to, you know, you can go ahead and add a splash of water in there if you need to, so it doesn't get overly dry. But don't put too much water in here because you don't want it to be a super duper wet dish. But I'll just let it cook away here for a few minutes, giving it an occasional stir. It's been a few minutes and I think I'm calling it quits. Looks pretty good to me. Got some nice mushy bits to it, but I didn't overcook the yuca when I boiled it, so it's got some nice firm pieces. But I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off, and I went ahead and zested a lemon. So I'm going to go ahead and throw my lemon zest in there, and then I'm going to squeeze the juice of one whole lemon all throughout here. Lemon juice adds a nice little bit of flavor there.
You're adding some citrus bling.
We used to always serve this with lamb, or we used to do stuffed peppers. You know, if we were going to do a vegetarian dish and serve it with this kind of yuca, because this is so filling. So there you have it, a super duper flavorful and very easy to prepare and rib sticking yuca dish. So go ahead and give this recipe a try. If you want to print it, go to myfoodchannel.com. You can print all our recipes there. You know, there's a link down below. Subscribe, because all the cool kids are doing it. We appreciate your comments and taking the time to watch the video. We'll see you in the future.